All right, welcome everybody again to Red and Gold Generations. I am Dustin. I am one of your hosts. This is my dad, Lawrence. We're going to go over some new Red and Gold Chronicles, a little taste of Chiefs history. We're going to go over a new segment called Legends Corner, where we talk to you about a legend of the Kansas City Chiefs team, era, whatever you want to call it, each week. And maybe we can all learn something about the Kansas City Chiefs. Welcome. All right, Dad, let's start things off the way we keep on starting things off because we are 7-0, and it sure smells like a Chiefs win to me.
Absolutely. 7-0, baby.
Yeah. We keep lighting these candles, I'm telling you.
I like it.
Yep. Smells, yeah, I might run out of that kit. No, I got plenty of candles. Got plenty. Well, let's start things off with a little game recap here. Let's start with the offense. I'll go over a few stats with you. Everybody loves their stats.
Sir.
Patrick Mahomes was 27 for 38, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 dumb, unlucky interception. Not going to hold that against Mahomes this week. Rushing, Kareem Hunt. Once again, 21 carries. They are letting that boy run the ball.
He's a
59 yards. Yeah. 21 carries for 59 yards, 1 touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, 6 carries for 17 yards. And then Carson Steele, they let him run the ball a couple of times. This was good to see. Travis Kelce, 10 receptions, 90 yards, and his first touchdown of the season. Mr. Kelce, it's about time. We knew you were there all along. We're unsure of the play. Say that again.
He never really anywhere. I really think that they were trying to adjust this offense a little bit, maybe take a little bit of pressure off Travis, knowing that people were going to be tracking him anyway. He still gets, double teamed, sometimes even triple teamed. So, and after this performance, this was last weekend, he's going to be right back up to being double teamed and triple teamed again.
That's right. Xavier Worthy had a pretty decent game. 4 receptions, 37 yards. Got himself another touchdown. Justin Watson was all over the place. It seemed like he caught more. He only had 3 receptions for 33 yards, but man, they came in handy. It seemed like he was catching a first down every time he caught the ball. I really liked seeing Justin Watson get going.
I do too. Kid's got some ability, and I'm glad to see him making a few catches. What Noah Gray do this week? Did he have some catches?
He did. Noah Gray, 3 receptions, 23 yards. DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop, here with the team. He had himself 2 receptions for 29 yards, a 14.5 average yards per game. That's big right there.
He's going to make a difference for us. He's going to make a big difference for us. Losing Juju, he just steps right in, kind of takes that same position as a wide receiver, and maybe not that deep route like Xavier can run, but boy's got hands as good as anybody in the league.
Yeah, we'll need him. We'll need him to, I hope they keep his reps low. I like the fact that Juju, has something. Juju, he's just prone to injury. We use him well. He typically, we had to use him too much, and look, his hamstring gets hurt. But if we can keep those 2 old veterans, just kind of swap them out and use them like that, and I think that's probably how they'll get used. I think that will work really well for us because, you got Juju, and then turn around, you got D-Hop, and then some plays when you need a third down, you're putting everybody out there. Imagine Worthy going over the top, so your safety in your corner is going to have to double that side. So then you got Juju, D-Hop, Kelce, don't forget Noah Gray, and then now Justin Watson's coming on the scene here nice and strong. So I think we'll be all right.
No doubt in my mind we're going to be okay. I am so glad to see, and I've said it before on the podcast here, but Kareem Hunt's I love the guy when he was with the Chiefs before. I really hated what happened, but I know that he has rejuvenated his career right there. You can see it in his effort, man. You really can. I like the fact that he's reaching up for somebody to help him up after every run. He's just looking for somebody, hey, old man down here, get me up.
Yeah. Did you see him mouthing off to Max Crosby?
Yeah, I told my wife, I said, I'm not sure that Crosby would be one I'd be mouthing off to. You might want to pick your battles, and I'm thinking on Max. He's kind of like a junkyard dog, man. He'll rip you up.
Yeah, but you think Crosby would learn? Last time he mouthed off to old Mahomes, what happened? Came down from what 17-0.
Yes, it did. With
Yeah,
the other
just
men.
don't mouth off to the boys. You know, they don't need much more motivation they already have, but give them a little bit, and they're gonna tear your head off.
Well, our offense looked good in that game. It really did. So proud of that bunch just for putting together the season that they put together so far because, when you lose your starting two receivers, you lose your starting running back. Wow, that can demoralize the team. And look what this bunch has done. Oh, baby.
Next man up mentality. I mean, it's working. I mean, all these other teams and all San Francisco 49ers whining about look at the decimated injury list.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you a decimated injury list. Dang, every game we're losing 2 and 3 players. That'll be what keeps us out of the Super Bowl, though. If this keeps going, eventually we won't be. I mean, what did we lose? 3 more players this last game? Jody Forston, Najee Johnson, concussion. And then maybe it was just the 2.
I knew about those two. I haven't heard anything on fourth.
Yeah, it didn't look good. He couldn't put weight on it. I haven't seen anything in the injury list that says anything. I don't know. I'm sure it came out today, but I wasn't able to find that.
I didn't hear anything on it today, but yeah, I'm like you. It didn't look good at all. No weight at all when he was being helped to the bench, and usually that's an indication of more serious injury. So I feel for that guy. He just got called back up. What this last week?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean he catch the ball. Dang, it's terrible to say, but if he'd have caught the ball, you wouldn't have got hurt.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
There to feel that ball.
mistakes
Coming at you.
mistakes lead to injuries. Look at Rashee Rice. Mahomes throws a terrible ball, picks, and then goes and takes out his best receiver.
Yeah, that was bad. That was bad.
All right, well, tell us about a little of the defense.
Well, the Raiders' initial drive, they got my attention right off the bat because they took that thing and just marched down the field. They really did. Over 7-minute drive and, just walked right into the end zone. I'm thinking, well, I hope they're awake. But, man, I'm telling you, for the rest of the game, they didn't do much at all, honestly. The defense just stuffed the Raiders' running attack all afternoon long. They wound up with 33 yards on the ground for the entire game.
I don't know why they kept running the ball. I mean, you
That's
got all these corners hurt and our secondaries are hurt, and they just kept trying to run the ball. And I'm like, you just throw it.
Well, I guess the NFL hasn't learned about Bolton, Tranquil, Chanel, those boys that are lining up at linebacker. I love that position when I played ball. And I love watching good linebackers in the NFL. And those three, in my mind, are some of the top linebackers in the league. Nick leads he led Sunday in tackles. He leads the team this year in tackles. They sacked the quarterback 5 times in that game on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
They're relentless. I mean, they really are. And then let's talk about right there toward the end of the third quarter. I know you know which one we're talking about because we mentioned a little earlier about this ball that Patrick threw that was tipped. And the Raiders had the ball on the 3-yard line. And I'm sitting there going, man, I feel like this is almost a repeat. I hate to say it, but I feel like this is a repeat of last year and that fumbleitis that we got in the Christmas game last year.
Yeah.
They had the ball first and goal on the 3-yard line. 3-yard line. They ran the ball 3 times, didn't gain, I think he gained 2, lost 2, and maybe didn't have any yardage at all. And then they sacked Minshew on 4th down. I'm here to tell you, buddy, that turned the momentum of that game. I know it did for me, and I can
Yeah.
only imagine what it would be like if you were on that football field and you saw your defense do that. What'd the offense do? Got fired up. Got
Well,
fired up. Down scored.
it's hard to win in the NFL, period. And, you've got these teams like the Raiders who are 2-5. They're not going to win squat. They know they're not going to win squat. So they're playing just as loose and as, hey, we want to do is go out and beat the Chiefs. We don't care about any other team. Let's just take down the champs, right? So the Chiefs get everybody's best shot. And I mean, they when you give an NFL team nothing to lose, they're still NFL players and they play good. And the Raiders played us good. I mean, we didn't blow them out, but I mean, that's a Raiders team that beat the Ravens. I mean, they're not a horrible team. Gardner Minshew, he can sling the ball. I mean, we've seen him do it. That first drive was, I'm just glad that they were dumb enough to keep trying to run that ball all game long. Because if they would have wised up and started throwing it on some of these rookie corners, I think they would have done way better than they did. And that's what I was scared of.
Minshew is definitely an above average NFL quarterback. He does a good job reading the defense, does a good job leading his team. You're back to that rushing attack. 1.5 yards per carry is what they averaged. And I think if they would have switched more to trying to throw the ball, especially down deeper, I think that Spags would have turned up the
Blitz
defensive line,
package.
and I think he would have blitzed quite a bit more. So,
Right.
Spags got to run this defense, no question about it. I love to watch him play. I don't know what their rankings are as far as overall. I think they're like fourth in the league now, shutting down the run. Probably not as well, not as good a rating against against passing game, but overall they've got to be ranked among some of the NFL's best defense. So
I
um,
think I saw they were ranked third in rush defense, and then they were like 10th in pass defense, and they gave them the 10th overall defense. Which interesting those statistics because I mean I don't know how that defense isn't considered a top 5 defense in the NFL right now. I mean when we need to shut them down, we shut them down, and it's all about those yards where we give up a lot to tight ends across the middle of the field when we have longer routes, and it's that bend don't break defense, and it never looks good on the stat sheets. But man, when you need a turnover, I mean, you called it. You were like, the text. We need a turnover, and boom, it's like as soon as we think the defense needs a turnover, they know it as well, and they're like, we got to get a turnover. Like this is it. We got to get a turnover, and boom, fumble, recovery. I mean, it's uncanny how it works when we need it.
we're going to talk about legend here in a little bit, but you got Chris Jones and you got good old George Karlaftis this year leading the team with 3 sacks apiece. So Chris is he's a wrecking ball no matter where he's at. And George is he's relentless too. I love to watch that guy play. He won't quit working. This Pennell kid forced that strip on Minshew and got us the ball back. So defense top in my book, and the reason we're 7-0.
Yeah, that defense is the reason we're undefeated. As much as I love the offense, and love Andy Reid ball, it's Spags. That's why we are 7-0 for sure. I mean, what's our average points per game? 24. I think it's 24. Probably
Somewhere,
lower now.
yep,
21.
3 touchdowns.
You only have to score 3 touchdowns to win in the NFL. That's a doable scenario.
Well, whenever you're only allowing 18, 19 points a game,
It's ridiculous.
or 3 touchdowns going to win the game. Add in the Butker field goal, and you're going to the Super Bowl again, man.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Well, let's move on to a little Red and Gold Chronicles. for everybody who doesn't know this little section, it's just a way that we can, I'll have to say, I learn sometimes as much as I trying to teach everybody or whatever. We just having fun. We just all want to learn about the Chiefs. So this week it's where did the Kansas City Chiefs name come from originally? Chiefs. Do you have any idea where it came from?
I believe that it was one of the mayors of Kansas City.
It was Bart. So H. Bartle, the mayor of Kansas City in the early 1960s, nicknamed Chief. So when we first came up with the Kansas City Chiefs, it had nothing to do with American Indian. And by the way, you are what, an eighth American Indian?
So I've been told.
Yeah. And so that makes me a 16th. So we have quite a bit of American Indian in this, just saying. But yeah, Mayor Bartle, I hope I'm saying that right, was nicknamed the Chief. And that is where the Kansas City Chiefs got their nickname when they came from Dallas. And he was an instrumental part as well to getting the Dallas Texans at the time to Kansas City. He was the one talking with Lamar Hunt and bringing him over and saying, hey, come to Kansas City. We want you to play in our city.
Awesome. Well, I had read somewhere about that, but I know there's some of the controversy that's went on in the last few years. That's when I first looked it up to see what relationship it had with it being a Native American chief, and that's not where the name originated from.
No, and I think I don't think I was reading a lot of when they originally got the name Chiefs. They went with it. They were their first original. We talked about it the last week. Their first original, before Arrowhead KC emblem was a Native American on there with his headdress and everything. And of course, this is before the culture became so ingrained in just anyway. I'll stop myself there so I don't get in trouble. Not looking to piss off anybody. We just like the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not looking to tick off this culture. But that's it. You got to be so careful nowadays. You can't have a name that's not even But anyway.
Well, in my opinion, of course, I'm an old guy, but that name is not degrading in any sense. And to me, that was a leader even in the Native American culture. And I don't understand. Enough said.
Yeah, so let's move on to Legends Corner. Dad, what do you have for us today?
Legends Corner is fitting for an old guy that's 67 years old, and I go back to a guy that they call DT, Derek Thomas. Derek Thomas, man, arguably the best pass rusher of all time. I had the privilege of watching him play. Probably one of the quickest off the line to the quarterback that I think anybody has ever seen. Just unbelievable quickness. But a couple things about him that I learned when I was doing a little research. He was actually a New Year's Eve baby back in 1967, born on January the 1st. And of course, he played his college career with Crimson Tide out of Alabama. Even then,
Chloe's going to love that. I'll have to tell her that one.
Yeah, he was a Crimson Tide. Earned a Butkus Award, All-American back in 1988, and many years later, obviously, but he became a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. Derek was drafted by the Chiefs in the first round. I think he was the fourth overall pick in 1989 by new head coach. Do you know who?
89 would have been right after it'd been right after the Schottenheimer years. So
brand new head coach Schottenheimer was involved in that draft pick.
I'll be darned.
The boy was 6'3", about 255. So in watching his film and seeing how quick he was, can you imagine somebody 6'3", 255 getting and coming around you that fast? That had to be so aggravating for offensive linemen. They obviously couldn't handle him. You had Derek on one side, and you had Neal on the other. So they drove NFL teams absolutely insane back in those days. But Derek he held, I don't think it was a record, but he had 10 sacks his first year in the league. And he was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. 10 sacks his first year. So amazing.
Well, he had. Then what was the day he had 6 sacks in one game?
Going to talk about that, but it was actually 7. And I think it was against the Seahawks. Don't remember. I didn't write down which game it was or which season it was. But yeah, he had 7. That's still an NFL record today. 7 sacks in one game.
What are you doing when you let somebody get to the quarterback 7 times? Like eventually, you just put 2 people on him every single play, right?
Well, that's what they do with Chris Jones now. You know, they double and triple team Chris. I don't know. I haven't. I just remember Derek. It just seemed like over and over and over back in those years, he was just in quarterback's face. And what I love to see him do, and I expected him. He was so good. I expected him on every play to be coming around that defensive or offensive tackle and stripping a ball out of the quarterback's hands. You know, you expected him to do that all the time.
We talked about it last week. I remember when Neil Smith and Derek Thomas would line up on the same side. Yes. Derek would go right to the outside of Neil Smith, and then it was just like, here they go. Here they go. Who's getting to that quarterback? Because you can't block both of them.
What I understand, one of his favorites to sack was good old John Elway of the Broncos. I can only imagine back in those days. You know, I would have loved to have been the same because I absolutely got a lot of respect for John Elway. But back in those days when I watched him play the Chiefs, couldn't stand the guy. So if I'd been Derek back in those days, I've been trying to drop him every single play, whether you had the ball or not.
You know, that was back when, the Chiefs-Broncos rivalry was better. I mean, it seems like, and I say better because we have just been so dominant in this AFC West. And I mean, what have we beat the Broncos, like 16 straight? Something like that.
Yeah, it's just not it's not really a rivalry anymore because we've swamped everybody in the AFC West. So
yeah,
maybe the Broncos will be a bit better this year. They got Bo Nix, so we'll find out. But 1990s All NFL All Decade Team. Derek was part of that, and that's quite a record when you get an award based on a decade of time, especially playing that position, because people are trying to keep you out of that backfield, and that's a big accomplishment in my book. Is 10 years of being recognized, 26 and a half sacks over his 11-year career. So that kind of tells you how many he averaged per year. Forced 41 fumbles. 41 fumbles that he forced. And then obviously was a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I had moved out to Denver, Colorado in 2000. I could not believe hearing the news. One of the saddest days in the Chiefs that I can remember was when I heard that we'd lost him. He was involved in that accident, and then later on had a blood clot that came from his, from his leg, and it killed him. So what a shame to lose him that way. But Derek Thomas, definitely a Kansas City Chiefs legend.
All-time legend. Yeah, I agree. Just 100%. It's in our intro. When I think one of the first people I wanted to put in our intro was Derek Thomas. Just immediately. He just, to me, screams Kansas City Chief. He just was a beast. I enjoyed watching him. And in 89, I would have been 10. Mm-hmm. So, in the Derek Thomas years, I was just starting to understand football a little bit. Just barely starting to understand the game. And, he made an impression on me at, age 10 to 14.
Well, unfortunately, there were some other things in our personal life that made an impression on us too. And we probably missed some of Derek Thomas's best plays. because I was an idiot and you weren't much better back in those days. But I don't get into that either.
True story. Well, let's see what do we got coming up. We got the Bucks coming up. Well, I originally, when I thought of the Buccaneers, I was, like, okay, this is going to be a good game. I'm not sure now. I mean, they're out. They'll be out Chris Godwin and they'll be out Mike Evans. I'm not sure you can be out those two guys against a defense like the Kansas City Chiefs and come out on top. I mean, of course, we don't want to take them lightly, but when I originally, that Bucks team with those two boys on that team were dangerous, but I just don't think they're as dangerous now. And Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both great players. I was hoping we would get Mike Evans. I really was. But he wanted some money. Let's see here. Yeah, their defense isn't real great either, right?
I haven't followed the Bucks very much this year. I do know that they lost both their wide receiver, 1 and 2. Baker Mayfield is a competitor. He was a competitor back in college when he took on Patrick Mahomes, and they had 100 and some points scored in a football game. But when you lose wide receiver 1 and 2 on a lot of teams, the same thing happens to them as they did. I should start that over. When you lose 1 and 2, it puts you at a huge disadvantage. And, outside of being the Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay, along with a lot of other good teams right now, are hurting because they've lost key personnel.
Yeah, it's been an injury-ridden year this year. I mean, not just for the Kansas City Chiefs, but for the NFL. It seems to me to be more injuries this year than I've seen in a few years, especially to like wide receivers and stuff.
Wide receivers they've just been getting tore up right and left this year. I don't know. I agree with you. It's like I've never seen it before where guys are dropping off like every week. We're losing wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 on a team.
Here's my theory. You want to
Okay.
hear my theory? Here's my wide receiver theory. So you can't rip the head off of a wide receiver anymore, right? Like the old days where you caught the ball and you knew you were either going to catch the ball and get your head tore off, or you were going to drop the ball and get your head tore off. Didn't matter. So catch the ball and try and hang on for dear life. Now you can't go anywhere near the head. You can't go. I mean, even if these guys lead with their shoulders, they're getting flagged for personal foul. So what are they doing? They're going low.
Yep.
And what do we got? We got torn ACLs, dislocated ankles. We got all these defensive players going, well, I got to get them down somehow. And they're going low. And instead of taking their head off, they're taking their legs off. And, that's my theory. That's what I think's going on.
It's not a bad theory. It's really not. I know several of the injuries have been from the waist down, these knees, and just getting them in the wrong position at the wrong time. I see that happen a lot here lately, where guys are tearing up their knees for some reason, and it may just be because the defensive backs don't have any other place to go.
Well, we'll see what happens. I don't think the Bucks have what it. I don't think they have what it takes to beat the Chiefs, and I mean, we just look good. The only teams left that absolutely scare me. Buffalo is starting to look really, really good again, and they had a couple of bad games, but that one will be a really good game. That's at Buffalo again this year, right?
I believe so. Yep, I believe that's in New York. Yep.
That's gonna be a really good test for us. Really good test. And then on the other side of the league, a team I don't want to come anywhere close to, and that's the Detroit Lions. Did you see what they just put up?
52.
That team looks dangerous. And I mean just dangerous.
Jared Goff is having an unbelievable year. I don't know, his percentage of completion here lately has been, 70, 80%? I realized in that one game he had 18 passes, but he made 18 completions too. So, yeah. They lost Hutchinson, and they're still really, really dangerous. I don't know. Probably several in the league are going to put them in the number one slot. But I don't care who you are, when you play them, what your name is, you always have to contend with Patrick.
He just has a knack for slipping out and right at the right time, and Kelsey shows up just kind of right at the right time. We get a forced fumble just right at the right time. And for all you other fans out there, we get our ref calls just right at the right time.
Yeah, I don't know how many holding calls in a row. I do know that I saw a statistic by one of those. The refs are always with us. We had 8 penalties for 55 yards Sunday. The Raiders had 5 penalties for 32 yards. So yeah, holding calls, and I don't know that any of them stopped a good drive and caused us to lose the ball. Penalties are penalties, and I see. I'm telling you, on Sunday, I saw a lot more flags. It seems like to me, in watching the games that I watched, than I've seen in the league for a long time. It was yellow flag day, I think.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And some of those holding calls were ridiculous, even on the other side. I
Yeah,
watched I watched a holding call get called on the Raiders, and I'm like, it's not holding. Like, it's not holding. Stop with this. I was a week off because remember I called it. I was like, we're gonna get a bunch of dumb holding calls. I thought it was gonna go against San Francisco. And for whatever reason, we didn't get holding calls that game. Which if I would have thought it was gonna be any game, but no, it's the Raiders. We get 1,000 holding calls, and Wanye Morris,
yep,
that boy, he's getting, and some of them are just flat out holds. It's like, dude, you can't, and I get it, like he's gotta, but I'm like, you, once he turns, just let him go, like let Mahomes cook.
yeah.
But he's got to contend with all the good guys. That's that blind side.
It is, and he's a good young offensive lineman. He's going to get better. That's got to be a tough position over there. Hey, ever since we complained about him, Juwan he hadn't been on our radar. So I hope he
Yeah,
stays. Yes, yeah, yeah. That pissed off.
so mad.
And you know what? I have more respect for Alex Smith than I do a lot of quarterbacks in the league, and we never meant any disrespect to Alex. A guy who can put the Chiefs in the position that he did. I don't think it was his fault that some of those offenses sputtered like they did. I think it was a bad offensive coordinator, in my opinion. We won't go there either because that'll probably piss somebody off. But
You
um,
know, like come watch the show, then mouth off. Don't take my little shorts and decide if I like Alex Smith or not, or am bad mouthing Alex Smith. I can call Alex Smith Captain Checked Out all I want. I like Alex Smith. He was a great quarterback. He was scared to throw the long ball. Period. Fact. Alex Smith, come on the show, please. I will definitely tell you, or ask you, I should say, ask you why you were so scared to throw that long ball. Because when he did, it's like a dime, just bink, and we were like, "What? Throw the ball like that? Just throw the ball." But
had a good arm,
yeah,
great arm. I don't know.
we have that quarterback now, and what did he do? He ripped it. He said, I'm gonna throw those balls," and we've won 3 Super Bowls.
You bet.
All right, well, that's about it for the show today. What else you got?
That's it. I think we're going to go 8-0. I really do. Tampa Bay, they're going to have a problem handling this, so we
Well, what do you
will.
think? What do you think our chances are going 17-0?
I would rather see us not, honestly. I don't know. That's a two-edged sword, man. I don't see us going 17-0. I think we're going to slip up, maybe with the Broncos, maybe with the Bills, somewhere right in there. We're definitely, if we are, in those last 3 or 4 games, they're going to start looking at resting some starters, especially if we're walking into the second round of the playoffs, and that record will become not as important. But I will tell you this: that in the next 3 games, I think we're going to remain undefeated for this year.
So I agree. There's no way we're going to go undefeated, I don't think, because, look, Travis Kelce could have had his 8th 1,000-yard season last year. He decided to rest and not take it on and make a record untouchable. He decided, and he was like 68 yards short. Absolutely could have got it in that last game. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, Super Bowl is more important. So, yeah, I think if we're anywhere close and we've got the number 1 seed wrapped up, they're going to rest starters, and, yeah, we'll lose a game down the stretch. But let me ask you this question then.
Okay.
Which would be better? Okay, let's take the 3-peat out for now.
Okay.
Which is better? A 17-0 season and you win the Super Bowl, or 15-2 but you 3-peat? Which one is the most untouchable record, you think?
The 3-peat is the most untouchable record. For us to get to the Super Bowl and win it for the 3rd time in a row, huge odds, man, huge odds. I'm Force all the way.
Yeah, I think the 3-peat, and that's why I don't think they'll go undefeated, because they would rather have the 3-peat. Mahomes wants that 3-peat. The Chiefs organization wants that 3-peat.
So do you and I.
Nobody will touch it if they get it. Nobody.
I don't think so.
All right, Dad.
Tampa Bay next, so we got to get them first.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
All right, well, I will catch you later.